How many of you, anybody first time through the doors tonight? Welcome this evening. Thank you for coming. We are here a very special occasion. We don't usually get to do this in the evening, so we're usually here in the mornings. How many were here this morning? We had an awesome time this morning, so thank you for coming back again. And we're going to go ahead and get started this evening. So if we could, I'm going to introduce my friend. Ben, would you please come? And I'm going to turn this over to Ben. We had an opportunity, as I received an email, that the Major General was coming to the area. And I was asked if we would be interested in having him come and speak. Well, how many of you know I said, yeah. Yeah, well, of course. So we were blessed to have the opportunity. I've read much history from the 73 war. I've heard stories, and so I'm very much looking forward to hearing this evening from the Major General. So before we get started, I'm going to turn this over to Ben. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you very much for coming on this frigid night tonight. And we're excited about this Stand With Israel event that we're honored to host. And I believe that, Iki, you guys will be in two different places tomorrow, I think, on Sunday morning and then Sunday evening. Okay. All right. But as you're well aware, Iki Elner is with Israeli Leadership Institute of Sderot, Israel. And Sderot, Israel is right on the front lines. I believe whenever we last spoke, Wilma, I think you had mentioned about the rocket attack that took place about a week and a half ago, so just a week. And Iki is the only person I know that has had a rocket strike his living room. I don't know anybody else that's had that experience before, but he's standing, and he's not only has he overcome that situation in Sderot, but also he's overcome cancer, and he's very resilient. And that's why one of the reasons why he's leading the Israeli Leadership Institute. And for some reason, whenever there's the most tension and stress and trials and tribulations, somehow those irritations can develop pearls and develop leaders. And Iki and his team have been able to find that and observe, and now they have a school that's developing leaders across Israel, and now they're going to different parts of the United States, whether it's training up law enforcement for being prepared for terrorist attacks or for cyber issues. They are in the front lines, and so that's very exciting to have him here tonight, and also the gentleman that he brought with him tonight as well, the general, which you'll be hearing more about. Iki is a gentleman that his statement actually was broadcasted by the Israeli breaking news out of the Golan Heights, where he mentioned about how is there anybody that has greater love for Israel than rural Ohio? And so that story went across. It went south of the equator, and then also made its way into the Holy Land. And that was whenever things were going on in north central Ohio just a year or two ago, where 100 clergy. I see Reverend L in the audience tonight. Rabbi William Holbrook with SAR Shalom, and a number of congregations, some pastors, that made an apology letter to the Prime Minister of Israel for our federal government's position in opposing Israel and its right to its sovereign territories. So that happened, and then also we had 40 area pastors that encouraged the county treasurer to invest in Israeli bonds. And it's interesting that Ohio is the largest holder of Israeli bonds for a government entity in the entire world. And so that's due in part to the state treasurer, Josh Mandel, and now he's gone on to different and greater things. So that happened, but it's interesting that Israel is one of the leading nations for startup businesses in the world. And so I think a couple years ago they had about 70 different companies from Israel that are on the NASDAQ, and it's quite remarkable for a nation of only 7 million people that's only been around for 60 years, that's under a constant threat for its very existence. But what's neat is that Ohio is beginning to invest into Israel and putting its confidence in Israel. And so now Ohio has, for the seventh year in a row, we've been setting records for business startups in the Buckeye State. And so we set a record in 2018 for most business startups as well. And it kind of reminds me of what Scripture talks about whenever you bless Israel. This was to Abraham, that you also will be blessed. But I'm not here to talk about investing in Israeli bonds. I'm here to talk about investing in Israeli lives, and that's where the Israeli Leadership Institute comes into play. So I have a correspondence here from the mayor of Ontario, the city of Ontario. Mayor Hutchinson is not able to make it tonight, but he wanted to make sure that he wanted to send a greeting to the general, Eyal Ben-Reuven. And so I will read that correspondence. This is from Mayor Randy Hutchinson. So, dear Knesset member Eyal Ben-Reuven, I would like to welcome you to the city of Ontario, Ohio, and thank you for your visit to Sar Shalom Center. North Central Ohio has traditionally expressed a warmth for the people of Israel. Last year, the Deputy Speaker of the Knesset, Mr. Hilik Bar, spoke at Sar Shalom Center in commemoration of the 70th anniversary of the nation, of your nation. In addition, the former mayor of Shiloh, Mr. David Rubin, also came to speak on behalf of victims of terrorism. That was last year. The mayor goes on, he says, "It is my understanding that during your 35-year career in the Israeli Defense Forces, you served as commander of various fighting units, rising to the position of Chief of Staff of the Field Corps of the Israeli military. I am also told that you, during the 1973 Yom Kippur War, you became known as one of the Israeli greatest examples of bravery and courage. Interestingly, in 2016, the 200th Red Horse Squadron of the Mansfield National Guard served as the project lead for the construction of 4 multi-purpose buildings in Israel, providing permanent operational exercise space for U.S. and Israeli military forces participating in joint military exercises." So, of course, that's from the Mansfield Alarm Airport in north side of Mansfield. Then he goes on and says, "It is my sincere hope that your visit to Ontario, Ohio will be a memorable one, that you will enjoy the hospitality of our people, and that many strong friendships will result. While I am not able to meet with you in person, I want to take time to express my warm greetings to you. On behalf of the City of Ontario, I thank you for your visit and want to let you know that you and your family are always welcome in the City of Ontario. Sincerely, Mr. Randy E. Hutchinson, Mayor of the City of Ontario." Psalms 91 talks about not being afraid of the pestilence and darkness or the arrows by day, and talks about taking a refuge in the Holy One of Israel. And so Psalms 91 can give us encouragement and remind us that he ultimately is our refuge, but he uses his people to equip the saints. And so I just wanted to introduce Iki Elner as he comes up and give him a big applause for Iki Elner.
Music, so I'm gonna dance, right? Let me put it here, and then I can walk a little bit, because you know your Israeli nervous guest, he always walks on the stage. So, very happy to be here. Welcome to this event. I know so many faces here. I'm becoming like part of the family. And I feel like, and if you ask me in the middle of the night, wake me up, I'd like you to be my family. Thank you for being a family. I seriously feel so comfortable here, and I welcome all of you, and I know I'm always welcomed in this congregation. Rabbi, thank you for the hospitality. It's great to be here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ben, for all the work you're doing. Amy, where's Amy? Where's Amy? Right, here you are. Straight ahead. Thank you for everything that you're doing. And this has become like a tradition. I told the rabbi the only complaint I have about it is that it's November. However, I'll tell you two things that happened this November. Number one, in the last 2 weeks in Israel, temperature was 95 Fahrenheit every day. Yeah, you should be jealous of us. Huh? Second thing is that 3 days ago, I celebrated my 56th birthday. So happy birthday, everybody. If you're asking me, this is really my 4th birthday, which I really feel that I was reborn after I was diagnosed with the disease. And I'm so happy to be able to stand here every year and not just tell you about how happy I am to be alive, but to give encouragement to people that when you decide to fight, you shall prevail. That's what's important. It's up to us. It's up to us. I want to tell you one thing that relates to Ben. Thank you for introducing me so nicely. I didn't know I was so special before you spoke. I want to tell you something about our work at the Israel Leadership Institute. Ben spoke about Ohio being the greatest investor in Israel bonds, which economically or financially, it's a good investment, always. It's been like this for years. It's one solid bonds that a government, sells around the states. Other governments do the same. But the ones who invest in Israel bonds are always happy with the outcome. It's really solid and good. But we're all commanded, and I don't want to even say commanded, we have a privilege of investing in Israel. And the reason is because not just what Ben mentioned, where Genesis 12:3 says, I shall bless those who bless you, and I shall curse those who curse you, and then in you all the families of earth shall be blessed. That's God speaking to Abram. Not just because of this, but because the days are coming, and the signs are there. And you can be 17 years old or 71 years old, all of us can see the same signs. And may I remind you that the Bible, the New Testament, all mention the same scenario of the end of the days. Doesn't matter if there's a little bit of changes between the two written versions of it. The battle is going to be down there. Armageddon is in Israel. It's not in Montana. Well, I wouldn't like to be in Montana. It's too freezing now. Whatever. But it's down in Israel. And the battle of the end of the days and the troops and the kings coming from the north, they're not coming from the North Cleveland. They're coming down there. And the fights are only growing. Investing in Israel today is what this community does in the last 3 years. And I want to encourage you to continue doing this. That is investing in us training leaders to make sure that the nation is ready for the challenges. It's a nation of 8.5 million people and the size of New Jersey. And still we handle so many challenges. No other nation is faced with so many while we are still so little and small in the size. Your partnership with us in what we're doing in the Israel Leadership Institute, making sure that more and more young leaders are making ready the nation for the future, your partnership is biblical. It's beyond any financial support and any financial investment you do through the Israel bonds, which again, I urge you at any time, you want to do investment, go to Israel bonds. And I have no connection to them, I just know that they're good. But if you want to invest in the future of Israel, do it with us. And keep on supporting us because what you do is really blessed by God. And we just need you to back us and to work with us. We'll do the work in the ground. Rabbi, would you come and pray with me, please? I mean, I'll pray with you. You'll do the prayers. Yes, here you go. That's going to be $2.
Oh, $2. That's all? Oh,
It's
my
a
goodness.
Saturday. We're generous.
So my friend has shared his heart with you, and we've known Iki for several years now. Iki's been with us on and off throughout the years. He represents Israel. He's the face of Israel. How many of you know that we stand with Israel? It's what we do. What they do is train leadership. The ILI trains leadership. And I know him. We've been so blessed to have different people come in that you have brought. And it's wonderful. So I would just encourage you, if you say you support Israel tonight. So I'm going to ask you to stand if you would. And if you would, I'm going to ask you to prepare that, guys. We usually do this at the end, but here's why I'm doing it now. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you. The reason why we're doing it now is because people will hear the message and they'll leave. Anything you give tonight will be a blessing. So we encourage you to sow into Israel this evening. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father and our King, we bless you this evening. Father, we thank you for this time together. I thank you for this people that we stand with Yisrael, both Jew and Gentile here this evening. I thank you for Iki. I thank you for the Major General, and I ask your blessing to be upon them, Abba, as they continue the work. Father, keep them. Give them much wisdom in the days ahead. And I ask you to bless every person in this place tonight. B'Shem Yeshua Mashiachenu. All his people said, Amen. Amen. So as they're coming, would you just going to ask you to put your offering. We usually don't pass a plate, but we're going to ask you to put it in the offering as they're coming. They're passing the baskets. So you would make the check out to ILI.
Israel Leadership Institute.
The Israel
You're
Leadership
kidding me. You know very well.
Institute.
You've been doing this before.
The ILI. Yes, so thank you. Toda. So the ILI. And we will get started shortly. So they're making their ways around here. And thank you all for coming out. We really appreciate you tonight.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you. How about we take a seat? Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Don't join me. I want to applaud you for supporting us. You don't need to join me. I'm applauding you. Thank you. Thank you. Got to tell you something. When I had more than 12 years ago, I had a vision at night, and I believe I shared it in the first time I came to Sar Shalom to start the Israel Leadership Institute and to train leaders. I could not have imagined at that time how lucky and blessed I'm going to be and the Institute with the people who were to join our team and together put that institute, that leadership school, which is the first one ever in Israel and has the privilege of being the most unique in how we train the leaders. But at that time, I knew how to put organizations at the time, but I couldn't even imagine where am I going to get the team that is going to implement that very special method. And the blessing of the Israel Leadership Institute, and I'm trying to bring those people also, when Rabbi says, yes, let's do it, I'm trying to bring them over here so that you will see the diamonds of Israel who are working voluntarily in our Leadership Institute. And one of those diamonds is sitting here today with us. And I'm blessed that he joined our team when we just started and took a great role, because what General Eyal Ben-Reuven has done in his life is much bigger than his contribution to the ILI, to the Israel Leadership Institute and training leaders. His history and giving to Israel is so big that I may need a whole hour just to present him. But I'll tell you one thing. He's not only a retired member of our Knesset, a legislator, who went there just because he had a purpose in life. He's not just 35 of service in the military and one of the top brains in our military, but also a great commander and a leader that everybody always appreciated. During the 11 years that I know you, General, you've been involved in almost every good cause that rises in Israel. You never say no. And you know, you have led the Armor Corps, and you have created the ground forces of Israel in many ways. You have brought reforms to the military. But there's one thing that you will learn today when you meet him and when he speaks. You have a heart for people. And usually when we see great commanders in the military, we think that they're just, you know, tough. And we forget that leading people means that you got to have a heart for the people. And you are one of the greatest leaders I ever met in Israel. I'm proud to be your friend. I invite you to join me here and speak to the people. Welcome, please warmly welcome Major General Eyal Ben-Reuven.
Thank you, Iki. I must tell you, this is so exciting for me to see you here, to come here, to see the Israeli flags, to hear the Israeli music here, that it makes me want to think for you, to sing for you. But we will give up on that. Dear Rabbi Holbrook, where he is. My friends, friends of freedom, friends of democracy, friends of justice, friends of Israel. Shalom. It is not one of those periods in the history of Israel that our safe existence can be taken for granted. I am sure that you are all following the latest news. And on a personal note, like all of you, I am deeply concerned. Almost every day, the boiling pot of the Middle East produces new challenges inspired by Iran. The flames are kept high in our region. It was only this week that the Iranians announced, just 2 days before, that they will restart to enrich uranium in the Fordow facility in Iran. Despite the fact that sometimes we feel as the last ones in the front against Iran, I can promise you one thing. We will fight for freedom and protect our beloved Israel every day, every hour, and with every mean of determination. Make none mistake about it. But let me first invite you to a personal and short journey in my life, to a night that shaped my life forever. 46 years ago. It was in October 73, standing alone in a dark night on the banks of the Suez Canal, while my tank was burning, my commander and fellow fighter died, and just one more soldier is with me, still alive, but badly wounded. I was surrounded by hundreds of Egyptian commando fighters. The Egyptians attacked us and took us by complete surprise in the height of Yom Kippur, our day of fasting. I lost so many of my friends. It seemed like there is no chance for me, no chance to survive. The Egyptian commando was so closing on me, but I decided to stand against the enemy. I grabbed my rifle, returned to my tank, took care of my wounded fellow, and was ready to fight for the last drop of blood. And just like in a miracle, later on, out of the darkness, an Israeli tank came by. They rescued me, and my friend. Actually, today, he is a lawyer in Tel Aviv. But before I realized, I was sent to the other end of Israel to fight the invading Syrians on the Golan Heights. And guess what? My tank was hit again. The most terrible war in the history of Israel continued for weeks. It was at the end of the war that I found my father in the battlefield. Our tanks were fighting shoulder to shoulder, and we didn't even know about. As we met, my father said with tears in his eyes, he told me, 25 years ago, when I fought in the War of Independence, I never dreamed that my own son will ever have to fight next to me and with me. This was an experience that determined my commitment to ever let this happen again. Not just to me, but to the state of Israel. And while my future was to become a professional musician, I was playing the piano. At the end of the war, I agreed to stay in the army, rebuild it, and contribute my life to protect Israel. I served for 35 years. Because as much as we aspire and pray for peace, we are also aware of our duty and obligation to defend the restoration of the Jewish nation to its homeland in Israel. Our historic homeland, our biblical homeland, our undisputed homeland, Eretz Israel. I am deeply honored and humbled to stand here today. If one needs to imagine the place where an Israeli would feel welcomed, protected, and loved, it is just here in Mansfield among you. You are making a very, very strong statement today. Israel is here to stay. after 2,000 years, returned from the Jewish exile to our promised land. Israel started as a doubt, but wound up as a certainty. We had to fight 6 major wars in 7 decades. We did not lose one. We cannot afford to lose even one. We had to defend ourselves. Self-defense is our right and our commitment. With a little land, little water, and resources, Israel grew tenfold in population and 50-fold in GDP. Israel high-tech and innovation enriches the world. Israel agriculture makes the desert bloom. In what looked like nothing but a wasteland, Israel built new village. I live in one of them in the north of Israel. New cities, new universities and roads. Our children speak the language of the prophets. From a dispersed nation, we have become a united democracy. A strong and real democracy. Not even one day of war ever interrupted even one day of democracy. Not even one. To me, as a son of pioneers who took an important part in the establishment of Israel, my childhood was of mixed worlds, creating and building our new state with excitement and accomplishment, and at the same time facing security dangers and threats all the time. For a child growing in the late 50s in Israel, it meant that I will never cease fighting for our people. And yes, it was exactly this childhood experience, shaped by wars and terror, that also shaped my never-ending desire for a real peace. That shaped my commitment to do all that is in my power to pursue all possible opportunities for peace. Peace between Israel and its neighbors. Peace that will bring prosperity to our region for the benefit of all states and nation. And this is the only reason that I agreed to serve in the Israeli Knesset and work for peace. In my dream, my friends, fear, bloodshed, and wars in the Middle East are replaced by respect, cooperation, and a bright future for our children. But it's not easy, unfortunately. My vision is still a dream because we live in a very tough neighborhood. In a rapidly changing Middle East, the mission of seeking peace is becoming very, very difficult and complicated one. Israel's strong deterrence seems to be tested today both by the fall of regimes in our bordering states and by a possible nuclear Iran. Israel is surrounded today from all angles by forces that are pushed by Iran to destroy Israel. And on top of all, there is the fight against ISIS, one that continues and will continue. Israel is an important partner in this fight. And I want, in this case, to congratulate America's special forces for taking down the leader of ISIS only a few days ago. We all are their enemies. And that is why we should stand together, united and strong, against each and every single one of these dark forces together. We must be together. But thank God, with all of these challenges, we have a strong army and the bravest soldiers one can imagine. My son, Roy, a paratrooper himself, is one of them, protecting us, securing our borders, and defending our people. And if we are forced to fight, trust me, we shall prevail. Israel experienced the horrors of war. It does not seek it. Peace is always our first option. Take my word for it. We are not a nation that wants to live on our sword forever. Israel has an eternal obligation to seek peace with our neighbors. We made peace before, and we are willing to try and make peace again. But prior to any attempt to make peace with our enemies, there is one thing, one very simple and basic thing. We should and must ask our enemies, do you want to live here next to us or instead of us? Next to us or instead of us? Now, if you want to live here next to us, we have every duty to find together any path to make peace with you. But if you desire to live here instead of us, you should know it will never, never, ever happen. But with all these troubles, one cannot be blind to God's blessing. The prophecies of the Bible are taking shape every day and day in Israel. And as God promised, the miracles return to Israel. The young Jewish state has survived and won the independence war against a number of Arab armies. 20 years later, the young Jewish state defeated three Arab armies and reunited Jerusalem, the eternal capital of Israel. With open access to all the holy sites, to all three religions under Israel control. One last note, my friend in Ohio. This is an historic time, as a resolution is presented in Ohio to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's eternal and undivided capital. I salute Ohio for that. I salute you for standing strong with us, your brothers and sisters in Israel. Being here today, showing your support to us, your willingness to fight for us, to partner with us, makes us one big and united family. And it is because of people like you here in Ohio that we know that Israel will never, ever stand alone. I salute you for your friendship. I salute you for your brotherhood. I salute you for being such great Zionist that you are. Thank you, my friend. Toda Rabba, and God bless you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Can we do a quick Q&A? Sure. Come back. So real quick, I just felt if you had, we'll do a short Q&A. If you had any questions for the Major General, for Iki, can we get a microphone so that they can voice? She's getting it now. So if one of our guys will come, if you have a question for the Major General, we really appreciate you being here tonight, and it's an honor. I don't know if you know this, but he is serving in the Knesset, and so he is a part of Israeli government, active today. So it's an honor that we have you here today. Questions? Do we have the mic? You have the mic. Are you ready to run, Steve? Remember that old game show they used to do? The guy would run. Now wait a minute. No, we need here. That's not what I wanted. I'm going to give him back this mic. And then you get to take the mic to people with questions. Anybody remember the old Phil Donahue show? Does anybody? Just think of Steve as Phil tonight, okay? So, only a different spirit. Steve has a good, different spirit. So, is it on? It is on? Okay. Does anybody have any questions for the Major General or for Iki this evening? If you do, just raise your hand. Raise your hand. Stand and raise your hand. Okay, we have one in the back.
Hi, it's not a question, it's a statement. I just want you to know that me and my family We stand with Israel no matter what happens, no matter where the political climate goes. We're with you guys.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eliav, and I just wanted to say thank you for your service with Israel. And do you happen to have any knowledge as to the recent attack that not just America was involved in, but I believe President Trump mentioned in relation that Israel was part of that special attack? Do you have any knowledge in regards to that?
It's a good question, but I'm not sure that I can give you the details about. Just to tell you that Israel is a great partner to the America Special Forces in any kind of operations. We have very, very good relationship by intelligence, by other special forces. We train together. And in this time, kol hakavod, what I'm saying, all the great congratulate to America Special Forces. It's very, very important.
How you doing, sir? I served over in Germany in '80s, and I had a privilege of talking to some Israeli paratroopers. That was an experience that I had with them. But I wanted to ask you a question. Do you consider Iran a reincarnate of Nazi Germany? Because they are. They are. They really are. I served for 20 years, and hey, I know the military in and out with the top secret clearance. Crazy stuff.
I'm not sure that there is any way to compare someone to the Nazis. But if I hear what the leaders of Iran say today about destroying Israel and to try today, day by day, to bordering Israel with terror, I mean, they want almost the same. I mean, to destroy Israel, to destroy the Jewish people in Israel, but today, as I believe, Iran is an enemy of Israel, but not only to Israel. It's your enemy, it's Europe enemy, it's all the freedom, all the democracies is there. Iran is an enemy. That's why we must be together to prevent them for even doing even one step forward, for example, for nuclear capability. I mean, nuclear capability, it's not something that we can even think about in Israel, because Israel is a small state. You know, one bomb, it's the end of Israel. I mean, that's why we must prevent it. And I'm very happy that President Trump, for example, think like us about. He said very clear, the Iranian will not get nuclear capability, and we have to take care about ourselves. That's why we prepare ourselves to any case that if we need, we will attack and we will destroy any way. We will not give them to get nuclear capability, because it's not something that we can even dream, even think about.
Thanks, sir.
Anyone else? Other questions?
Yeah, appreciate your dedication, sir. Could you give us approximately like what percentage of the gross national product has to be spent on military operations? And then I had a second question.
What's your second?
Oh, the second question? Or the first? You want the second?
Get the second one too.
And the second one would be, is there any, besides the United States, are there any countries in the region, somewhere in Europe or Middle East, somewhere that you could count on in case of an all-out war where you could have additional help? Besides the United States, is there any other country that you might have some faith in and trust in that would back you during a war?
For the number, for the first question, it's about 8-9% of our budget is going to security. It's a lot, but I hope you understand that we have to be very, very, very strong all the time. We can't give up even one minute, and today, it's very, very expensive. I mean, all the technology and all the training we must be the best in the world. About help Israel, I mean, we trust on ourselves. We never ask someone to come and to fight with us against someone. This is how we believe. We need support by U.S. and in 73 and after, and when we come to kind of war, yes, we need U.S. to support Israel, not by soldiers who will fight in Israel, but support by weapons, by munition, by a lot of things that we base on U.S. Except U.S., there is no one except U.S. This is the first ally, the first. I believe that U.S. today is the base of our defending system, and I must thank you as American people for that.
Yeah, this question's for Iki. Iki, could you talk about the Israeli Leadership Institute and its role that's being expanded in the United States, and also if you could mention how you first met the general and what his role is with the ILI?
I'll start with the general. Because here's what happened. Thank you. I knew who he was, and I was watching him on TV when he was talking on TV, and I was just counting the hours before he retires from the military so I can ask him to join our ILI. And I remember that it was maybe a few days after you retired that I called him. I introduced myself. He didn't know who I was. We never met before. And I remember I told him, General, you probably did not finish your contribution for Israel by retiring from the military. You have a great cause now as well. And I got to tell you something about the general. The general could have said, let's talk in a few weeks or a few months. Let me settle down and see what I'm going to do after the military. And you immediately said yes and agreed to meet and so on. So that's a good thing, and I would applaud you for this, by the way. So that's the one thing, yeah. And this is one of the reasons the ILI is so successful, because people of the general's caliber have joined the team and has made it the most unique team of trainers and people who believe in leadership development, empowerment for our young people. So the ILI, as to the other question, we're expanding all the time in Israel. In the first few years, financially, we could run only one class, and it was in Sderot. And Sderot always stays our bases. It's on the border. It has a symbol of why we train leaders down there, because they need to show courage. Because leading in Israel requires courage every day and day. However, on top of it, and thank you for the question, because I want to share with everybody this, Ben, we are now embarking on a new phase for the Israel Leadership Institute in America, and trying to turn from, and we will be successful, to turn from an organization that is leaning on people's support, on donations, to an organization that produces its own money so we can open more classes in Israel. And the reason we do it is because in my vision, I believe that in the first 10 years, we will need people to support us and to, establish and stabilize. Then if we are a proud organization, as I think we should be, because we're doing something important, and if we have people like the general and a few others who are great leaders in Israel and know how to train leaders, and we have our unique method of doing this, then why not introduce it in the States, sell our own seminars here, and because we're a non-profit, it's not a commercial company, it's not gonna make us personally rich. It's gonna help us open more and more classes. So what I'm gonna do in the future, and the future means about 2 hours from now, I'm just kidding, a couple of days, I'm gonna send Ben our brochures for our workshops that we've already started marketing in the States. And the effort is led by two charming ladies that are here with us today. So how about you stand up, Wilma Smart, who is the Executive Director of the Israel Leadership Institute, North America. And Linda Miller, who is now President of USA Training for the ILI. And both ladies and a whole team is pushing forward in marketing our workshops. If you want to plug into the cycle of who do we know? Do we know heads of commercial companies, of corporates, maybe law enforcement organizations that could be interested in us providing the knowledge, and that is a unique one. It's based on the Israeli experience. And invest, because they do a lot of training with the FBI. They do a lot of training with, cyber war companies or whatever. We produce 2 workshops in those areas that can be beneficial, but most of all important, can save lives in the States. So how about in the future, like in the next few weeks, I'll send the material to you. How about you let everybody see it? If you can give a little push to this and establish us in the States, you would do a great thing for Israel. So thank you for the question, and thank you for any future help in this.
One last, anybody? A last question? No? Yep.
Have you ever considered having the Israeli citizens just carry mirrors with them, use the sunlight, like when they send the balloons across the border, burst the balloons before they get to the border?
How did you think we're going to handle it? I'm sorry, again?
Well, I had a dream about 3 or 4 years ago that I was with a group of people, and we were surrounded by people that wanted to kill us and shove us off the face of the earth. And in my dream, I asked everybody, said, what are we going to do? And I said, everybody have a mirror in your pocket or purse? So everybody dug mirrors out, and we used the mirrors like Solomon's army did when he...
on the balloon so that it will explode.
So he's asking, is there a way, because those balloons, for those of you that don't know, they've been using balloons and causing forest fires. Is there a way that Israelis can kind of defend themselves against that from the balloons on this? Yeah.
I can tell you that the best brains in Israel are thinking how to deal with these balloons. I can tell you from my experience, when I dealt a lot with technology in the highest level, the challenge of the highest level of technology to fight kind of balloons or to fight very old systems, sometimes it's very, very difficult because it's much more easier to fight technology that you know. Balloons, it's something that, you can't use aircraft. The F-15, F-16, they can't fight balloons. I mean, And that's why we try to do whatever we can. But I must tell you, if the guys in Gaza, the terrorists in Gaza Strip, if they would continue to send balloons or missiles or any other munition of Israel, we will come to the point that we will have to go to Gaza Strip with all our forces, Air Force, Navy, ground forces, everything, and to destroy all their infrastructure and to go back, not to stay in Gaza Strip. I don't want to stay there. I don't want to take responsibility about these guys. But we can't ask Iki, he lived there, in bordering Gaza Strip. I can tell you that the Israeli people today, especially the people in the bordering Gaza, they feel that they are in the end of their patience about these balloons and all of this kind of fighting against Israel. And I think that we are very, very close, unfortunately, that we will have to attack Gaza Strip for short time, but to be very, very accurate and to destroy, to kill the Hamas leader and to wait, maybe after that, to create a new way for create kind of agreement with Gaza Strip. You know, I am a guy that I hope you understand. I am not running to fight for wars. Unfortunately, it's come to us. But when it's come, we must win.
It's good. I'm going to thank you all for coming this evening. And again, we want to ask you to...
Before you continue, we want to surprise you. Before you continue. So, Amy, can you come down here? Are you capable of leaving your post high there on the peak? On the peak of the Mansfield Mountain? Come down, please. Ben, will you join us here as well? Just before you continue, we got a little surprise. We like surprising. Well, we were talking about balloons, so it's like surprises and birthdays and whatever. We don't have a surprise cake, but... Oh, come on. Cut me a slack. Wilma, you want me to run to you or are you going to run to me? No, just those ones. Just those ones. So, General, this is the Israel Leadership Award 2019. It's a medal we want to honor Ben and Amy for working so hard for us. So, General, would you help Ben, or Ben, would you help the General? Yes, big applause. Yes, please. You don't have a jacket, that's going to hurt, you know? Okay, he doesn't have to suffer that much. You can help him. Come on. No, you stand, shake his hand so we take a picture first of all. Is it there? No, let me do that. Maybe here. Right.
It's the jacket.
The other way around. Right. This is it. All right. You guys shake hands. Thank you. All right. Now, Amy, I'm not going to let the General put it on you because that's going to hurt. You find your own spot. Thank you for everything that you do for us. Thank you so much. All right. Now you can continue with your plan. Oh, you don't need a mic because I have another surprise. Can I have the other surprise, please? Thank you. Well, you wrapped it like a sandwich. This is yours. Oh, your goodness. Now you can have a mic. No, before you get the mic. Rabbi, listen. What you do for us in the last few years is amazing. First of all, whenever I'm in the hood, you invite me. He said, let the punk come from Israel, you know? He's around. And thank you for this. That's one thing. Second, we have expanded now. This is the second year. We're doing a traditional November event. And on top of hearing what I have to say, we also get to meet another leader from Israel. That's a lot of effort. And we appreciate it. And we know that your heart is in Israel. And we know that you support, and your congregation, of course, the community here, supports a lot of causes. But I know very well, Rabbi, and I'm going to start crying in a minute, so I better shut up. But I know very well that we are on the top of your ladder of priorities of support in Israel. I know that. And you always talk about us, help us, and whatever we need. So God bless you for this. The least we could do is the Leadership Award in 2019 and the medal for you. Now you want a mic? No, give me a hug. Come on, stand up for Rabbi. Stand up for Rabbi.
Major General, could you just stay? I want to say a real quick blessing. I'm going to ask you folks. Thank you all so much. That's a blessing. Oh, they're going to see. Okay, there you go. It'll stay there till Passover. No. I just
cover it with a matzah.
We'll keep it displayed. Nobody run off with that. That's beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to ask you all, if you would, to stretch your hand. We want to say a traditional blessing. I'm reminded of a scripture. Tehillim tells us that unless Adonai keeps the city, unless Adonai watches, the watchmen are in vain. And so we want to say a blessing, a traditional blessing. This is one of the oldest, if not the oldest blessing found within Torah. And I want you to just stretch your hand as an act of agreement. So we just say, Yivareach Adonai v'yishmerecha, Yair Adonai panav lecha v'yichunecha, Yisa Adonai panav lecha v'yasem lecha shalom, v'yasem lecha shalom. May he bless you and keep you, cause his face to shine on you, be gracious to you, lift his countenance, give you shalom. Amen.
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 Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you both very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Shalom. Come on, let's tell them both thank you. Shalom, shalom. Hallelujah. Thank you all for coming out. We hope to see you this Tuesday and then also Shabbat morning services. If you're first time through the doors, come. You'll have a great time. And we would love to see you. If you want to, I don't know if we have time. You want to say hello to the general, hello to Iki. They might be here for a few minutes. I know there's going to be a photo op. So thank you all for coming out. Have an awesome evening, guys. Shalom, shalom.